Steve, and Usher, and Brian for those very, very kind words. And it's a great turnout. And it's been a great day here in Reno. We started off meeting with about 150 trade unionists, including some of the unions that have national unions that have supported us. We met with a whole bunch of senior citizens, people who understand that we have got to expand Social Security, not cut it. And we just had a rally where we had about 2,000 people out. So, thank you. What this campaign is about, in its deepest sense, is not just electing Bernie Sanders, because I think you have heard from Marsha and Stephen and Brian, no one can do it alone. What we need to do is not just elect a good president, we need a political revolution in America. Those are not just words. That means a cultural change in the way we do politics in this country. And here's a radical idea, that if we spend 50% of the time talking about the major issues facing our society, as opposed to talking about football, God only knows what we do as a nation. It means making sure that the young people understand that men and women have fought and died to defend American democracy, that democracy is a big deal, not something to be trifled with, in the sense of, I don't care, I'm not voting, it's all crap, I don't have to participate. What we have got to do is make, especially the young people and the disillusioned, understand that when we stand together in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. So the message of this campaign is, in addition to transforming our political system, is to think big, not small. Part of what media does is they think the debate is whether we're going to cut education by 2% or 4%. That's not the debate. The debate is, why don't we have the best child care and pre-K system in the entire world? That's the debate. The debate is, how does it happen that Germany and many other countries provide free college education to their kids when our families are going bankrupt sending our kids to college? That's the debate, and that's why I believe that we should make public colleges and universities tuition free. The big debate should not be whether or not climate change exists. The big debate is, how can we, in a very short period of time, transform our energy system away from fossil fuel? That's what the debate should be. The debate should be, how do we make sure that the food our kids are eating is healthy food? Okay? And having the courage to take on these huge food and biotech companies who are transforming our agricultural system in a bad way. Okay? I apologize for not knowing more about Nevada, but I will tell you that on a good Saturday in the fall in Vermont, if you drive around the state, you will find hundreds of farmers markets. You will find people buying food and beef and poultry directly from farmers. You will find a growing farm-to-school pipeline that is getting out. That's something we have worked very, very hard on. And I think all over this country, people are concerned about the quality of food their kids are eating. And that is why a couple of years ago, when I had the opportunity, I introduced an amendment as part of the Farm Bill, which would call for the labeling of GMO products. Right now, at the behest of Monsanto and other large corporations, there's an effort by the Republicans to prevent states from labeling. My state of Vermont is the first state to have done that, and I'm very proud of that. Overall, Overall, we have got to put greater emphasis on family-based agriculture. To the degree that organic is possible, let's move in that direction. It's not always possible. But I will tell you that again, in the state of Vermont, where I do know something about what goes on, about 20% of our dairy farmers, dairy is our major food, agricultural commodity in the state, 20% are now doing organic. Right? That's huge. So we need legislation and efforts designed not to protect factory farming, corporate farming, but to protect family-based agriculture. And I would love to see, and we're beginning to see it, at least in my state, young people getting into the farm life. It's a good life. It's a hard life. But it's a good, that's right, it's a good place to bring up children. And I want to see more and more of that around this country. I can tell you, it's just very interesting. In Vermont, we have the National, or the Northeast Organic Farmers Association. And you go to their meetings, and there are 500-600 people, mostly young people, mostly under the age of 40, who are now farming, many of them, by definition, in organic ways. So I think we're making some progress around the country. But when we talk about the economy and thinking big, this is what I hope you'll be thinking about. Why is it that the United States of America is the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee paid family and medical leave? Why is that? Why is it that in America today, a woman today is going to have a baby, and yet 2 weeks from now she may have to go back to work and not stay home with the baby because she doesn't have enough income? And that's why we've got to move it to at least 3 months of paid family and medical leave and join the rest of the world. And we can do that at a cost of an increase in the payroll tax of $1.61 a week. I think it's a good investment. Okay? Why is it? Thinking big. Why is it that the United States of America is the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to all people as a right? How come every other country can do it? How come the UK can do it, France can do it, Scandinavia can do it, Canada can do it? We have a system in which 29 million people have zero health insurance, and many of you are underinsured with high deductibles and co-payments, correct? Yes. All right. And yet, with all of that, and we pay the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, they have all that together, we are spending far, far more than any other country per capita on healthcare. We are spending almost 3 times what the British are spending. We're spending 50% more than the French, far more than the Canadians, and the results, their healthcare results are as good or better than ours. And that is why we have got to stand together and fight for a Medicare for all single-payer program, which is revolutionary. It's revolutionary in the sense, let's say you're a young couple and you want to go out and farm, right? Well, you're going to have health care. You don't have to stay in a job that you don't like because they have a decent health care program. You can be free. Talk about the potential, the energy that unleashes in America when millions of people can say, you know what? I don't have to stay in this damn job anymore. I can go out and do anything I want, and I will have health care as a right. And by the way, when you get the private insurance companies out of health care, whose only motive is to make as much money as possible, we will save middle-class families thousands of dollars a year on health care. Right? So that's what we've got to do. So the issues are out there. The issues are a collapsing middle class that has been collapsing for 40 years. Question. Everybody in this room who works is likely a lot more productive than people who had your jobs or similar jobs 30 years ago because you have technology. Okay? Why are you, or many of you, working longer hours and earning lower wages than people before you? Why is that? Why is it that young people, our kids, have the dubious distinction of being the first generation in modern American history to have a lower standard of living than their parents? Why is that? Do we talk about that? Do you see that on CBS? On NBC? I don't think that's an issue that we're going to talk about. That's not an issue they want to talk about. Which then takes me to the whole issue of the media. Which I deal with every single day. Okay? And what the media is about, the corporate media, is talking about every issue you can think of, except those issues that are most important to the American people and which challenge the power of corporate America. All right? Trade issues, almost never discussed on television. Income and wealth inequality. Climate change. I remember a couple of years ago, there was a study that came out, I think 2 years ago. And the study said that the Sunday news programs, which are important not only unto themselves, but they lay the groundwork for what's discussed during the week. Turns out that the Sunday news shows were almost not discussing climate change at all. So a few of us in the Senate called up the presidents of ABC, CBS, and NBC to say, hey, something's a little bit crazy about this. And I ended up meeting the presidents of one of the companies, and it's approved a little bit. But how can you not discuss in a very serious way climate change when it is the major environmental crisis facing this planet? And the answer is, look at the television ads on TV. See how much ExxonMobil and the coal companies, all these energy companies are advertising. See all the pharmaceutical ads that are on television, many of which are scary to me. You ever seen these things? If you take this medicine, it will result in heart failure, impotence, That's another story. All right, so, we got some very serious problems facing this country. We have massive levels of income and wealth inequality, such that the top 110% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. Does anyone think that is morally acceptable? No. You got the 20 wealthiest people owning more wealth than the bottom 50%. You have today 58% of all new income. All of you are working. Everybody in America is working. 58% of all new income is going to the top 1%. So this is an economy that is failing the middle class. It's got to be changed. You got a political system which is now corrupt, which as a result of Citizens United allows billionaires to buy elections. It's got to be changed. We need to overturn Citizens United. We have an educational system which is not working, where families can't afford to send their kids to college, which is pretty crazy. If we want to create good jobs in this country, we need the best educated workforce. Criminal justice system, which is broken. We've got more people in jail, disproportionately black and Latino, than any other country on earth. Okay. We have an immigration system which is clearly broken. 11 million undocumented people that need a path to citizenship. And on it goes. These are huge questions. But they are issues that can be solved. And the good news is that a majority of the American people, not on all issues, but on many economic issues, the need to create jobs, the need to raise the minimum wage, the need to deal with climate change, the need to reform a corrupt campaign finance system. You know what? Vast majority of the American people, regardless of their political persuasion, agree. So what we have got to do as a nation is bring people together. We have got to define the issues, not the front pages of the paper or CBS or NBC or CNN. So when we do our meetings, very often, not always, but we have people getting up there talking about their experience. And it always blows me away, number one, the courage of people to get up there and talking about what's going on in their lives and in their families' lives. And we don't do that enough. And what ends up happening is because you think you are the only family in America that is struggling, and you don't know that there are tens of millions of other families exactly in the same place, then you think it's just you, and you're not going to be involved in politics. It becomes a personal issue, not a broad political issue. Half of the people in this country who are over between 55 and 65 do not have a nickel in the bank for their future savings. Half of the people in America. Okay? We have a major, major retirement crisis, and then you got folks out there who want to cut Social Security. Our job is to get the truth out, have people talk about the experiences of their lives. I just met a few hours ago a woman here in Reno, has a 5-year-old kid. I don't know, she's late 20s, early 30s. 5-year-old kid, she's making $10.45 an hour. She's worried. You think she's unusual? She's not. Millions, like how do you survive with a 5-year-old kid on $10.45 an hour and pay off student debt? You don't do it. You can't do it. You're a senior citizen trying to make it on $12,000, $13,000 a year. Think you can do it? You can't do it. And yet what we see in America today is a massive increase in a proliferation of millionaires and billionaires. Well, we got 47 million people living in poverty. Half the kids in public schools today are on free or reduced lunch programs. Okay. So we got to make a revolution. That's what we have to do. And why not?
Yeah.
We only go around once. I mean, let's take them on. We can do them. It is true that they have unlimited sums of money. And I mean that word advisedly. When Wall Street got deregulated, and I fought that very hard, Wall Street spent $5 billion over a 10-year period in campaign contributions and lobbying to get deregulated. $5 billion in a 10-year period. Drug companies spend enormous amounts of money on lobbying, campaign contributions, so you have the privilege of paying the highest prices in the world for medicine. All right? So they got unlimited sums of money. They control the media. They control the political apparatus. But you know what? When people come together, at the end of the day, there are a hell of a lot more of us than there are of them. Thank you all very much for coming out. This is a great turnout. We're going to head to the plane and get to Las Vegas tonight. We've got a big event there tomorrow. All right, let me take just a very few questions. Ma'am, did you have a question?
Glass-Steagall, how are you going to be able to push the reinstatement of that with the bought out Congress?
Because you are going to make it happen. Because millions of people, let me answer, that's a great question. Okay, that's asked to me all of the time. How do we make change when you got a Congress that to a significant degree is controlled by big money? That's your question, right? And the answer is we are going to give them an offer that they cannot refuse. The reason that they do things, and I'm there, I'm the ranking member, the lead Democratic leader on the budget committee, so I see all this stuff. Nobody in America knows what the Republican budget is. You don't know it. I doubt that it's ever been on TV or in your local newspaper. It's not considered to be important. All that the Republican budget was about was throwing 27 million people off of health insurance, was privatizing, voucherizing Medicare, massive cuts in Medicaid and nutrition programs, and hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks to the top 1%. Did you read anything about it? No. Okay, when I'm president, you will know about it. And what you will do, and millions of other Americans will do once they understand what's going on, is to say, no, they're not going to get away from it. They're not going to get away with it. All right, so it's a question of, that's what a political revolution is about. We can bring change when people are involved. Okay, yes, sir.
Senator Sanders, I'm the director of the Veterans for the state of Nevada that are endorsing you.
Yes.
I want to ask you about this temporary program that allows veterans that live in excess of 40 miles
Right.
from a veterans facility to be able to access their private physicians
Yes.
in their hometown. Will you work to help us make this program permanent?
I want to see how it works, but I think we will. I helped write that bill. So what you had is two different ideas that merged into one. Number one, we want to make sure that veterans who get into the VA system get quality care in a timely manner. And we put $5 billion into the VA to hire more doctors and nurses and other healthcare personnel. But the other thing that many people in rural areas were saying is, you know what, I live 100 miles away from a VA facility. That's a drag. And why can't I go to a private physician? And we said, fine, you can't if you live more than 40 miles away. So I want to see how that all shakes out. But I am inclined to support it.
It's very important to those of us here in Nevada. This is a state where per capita there are more veterans than any other state in the
Is that right? I didn't know that. Okay.
And most of them live in rural Nevada, and it takes them, some of them are 400 miles from the facility.
No, that's crazy, and that's what we wanted to address. That's totally crazy. And how are the VA facilities here?
The one right here in Reno is ranked number 5 in the nation.
Good. Now, I know the VA gets a lot of bad press, but the truth is, when you talk to most veterans, not all, once they get into the system, they feel that the system is a caring system. Many of the people there are veterans themselves or families of veterans. It is more family than it is a job. Is that the case here?
Yes, sir. And we thank you very much for what you've done for us.
Thank you. Thank you for your support. Sir?
In the event of another Occupy movement, are you going to do anything to prevent the militarization from knocking it down when it's peaceful civil unrest?
Yes. Last I heard, people in the United States have a right to protest, something called the Fourth Amendment. Okay, yes. Yeah.
What role does Iran and Russia and other traditional enemies have in your administration in the fight against ISIS?
I think they play a very important role. Look, we can badmouth Russia all we want, and badmouth Iran. We clearly have very strong differences with them on a number of issues. I happen to think that the major military issue of the moment is the destruction of ISIS. And I think we bring people together, even though they may have different geopolitical perspectives, in that common effort. Russia lost hundreds of people on an airline blown up by ISIS. Iran has interest in it as well. So in my own view, and what I talk about all the time, is putting together a coalition led on the ground by Muslim troops, not American troops, Muslim troops, with the support of the United States and Russia and France and the UK and Germany. Yes, sir.
To get to be president, you got to get past Hillary.
I heard about that. Right.
It's my understanding that you're one of the poorest people in the Senate.
That I'm one of what?
Poorest
Yeah.
people in the Senate.
Right.
Least wealthy, thank you. When does that become an issue in the campaign to beat Hillary?
What? I should advertise the fact that I'm poor.
No, that she's correct.
Look, what we are trying to do, you're of course right. Here's the good news for us in this campaign is that not in all, but in a number of the polls that do matchups between Democrats and Republicans, we do better than Clinton does in terms of Trump, for example. Last poll had us beating Donald Trump by 13 points. Last major poll. But in order to have that opportunity, which I would give my right arm for, we do have to defeat Hillary, and we're working very hard on that. And that's where you guys are playing, we need you to play a very, very important role. As I mentioned earlier, based on recent polling, I suspect we're a little bit ahead in New Hampshire. I think we're a little bit behind in Iowa. I think we can win this state, and we put together. All of you, where's Joan? Joan here? Just she is our leader of our organization here. She's doing a very good job. We have thousands and thousands of volunteers, and I believe we can do this.
We'll make it happen.
All right, that's what I want. All right, one last question. Ma'am, right there.
Yes, I currently get my medications from Canada because I can't afford them here.
Yep.
And is that going to be a problem with the TPP?
Well, what's going on right now, and I was pretty active in that process. Are you getting a significant discount getting your?
Yes, I am. It would be $4.25 a month if I didn't get it through Canada. Now I get it for $90 for 3 months. Wow.
So it's 400 as opposed to 90?
No, 400 a month versus 90 for 3 months. Yeah.
Okay. Well, just so you know, I was very involved in that issue. When I was in the House, Vermont's one congressman, in the, I think it was 97, I'm not sure, I took a busload of Vermonters over the border. And women, most of the people on the bus with me were women dealing with breast cancer. And at that point, now this is late 90s, they bought a breast cancer drug that they were using in the United States in Canada for 1/10 the price they're paying in Vermont. Okay? So what we are trying to do, what ended up happening is there's a gray area. You're taking advantage of the gray area. And the gray area is saying that if you're using these drugs for individual consumption, right? You're not selling it, you're using it for yourself. They're kind of looking the other way. So how are you doing that? Through the internet? Yeah. And other people are just driving over the Canadian border. When they come back and somebody says, do you have anything? Yeah, I have drugs for myself. They say, okay. Drug companies don't like it, but that's kind of the truce that has been established right now. In my view, what we should be doing is allowing distributors and pharmacists in this country to buy those drugs in Canada at a significant discount and sell them here at the same price as they're sold in Canada. Okay, we've got to get to a point. I apologize. I thank you all very much.